There's a man in Columbus, Ohio, named Sam. He's 41 years old, works full-time as a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing plant, and from the outside, his life looks pretty stable. Sam wakes up every morning around 6 a.m., grabs a quick cup of coffee, and drives about 25 minutes to work. He's been at the same company for nearly 15 years. He's married, has a teenage daughter, and lives in a quiet neighborhood with rows of similar houses, trimmed lawns, and pickup trucks in the driveways. On paper, Sam is doing what most people would consider financially responsible. He works hard, he pays his bills on time, he doesn't gamble, and he rarely buys expensive things. And yet, at the end of almost every month, his bank account feels strangely empty. His paycheck comes in, and within days it's already spoken for. Mortgage, truck payment, groceries, gas, insurance, credit card minimums, school expenses. By the time the next paycheck arrives, Sam usually has less than a couple $100s left. And what bothers him the most is this: he's not sure where all the money actually went. If you ask Sam, he'll tell you the same thing millions of Americans say. I'm not bad with money, I just can't seem to get ahead. And statistically, he's far from alone. According to a recent report from the Federal Reserve, nearly 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Even more surprising, a large percentage of them are middle-income families earning between $50,000 and $100,000 a year. These are not people making reckless financial decisions. They're teachers, mechanics, nurses, warehouse workers, office managers, ordinary people doing exactly what society told them would lead to financial stability. Work hard, earn a steady paycheck, pay your bills, save when you can. But hidden inside this seemingly responsible routine is something very few people talk about: a quiet financial pattern that slowly drains money without ever feeling like a mistake. This is what we might call the silent money trap. And the reason it's so powerful is because it doesn't look like a problem at first. In fact, it usually begins with something positive: a raise. Let's go back to Sam. When he first started working at the plant in his mid-20s, he earned about $38,000 a year. It wasn't much, but it covered rent and basic expenses. A few years later, he got promoted. His salary went up to $48,000. That's when he upgraded his car. Nothing crazy, just a newer truck with a reasonable monthly payment. A few years after that, another raise. Now he was making around $60,000. Around that time, he and his wife bought a bigger house. Again, nothing extreme, just something a little nicer, in a better neighborhood with good schools for their daughter. Then came another raise, and a few more upgrades: better furniture, more subscriptions, a family vacation once a year, a newer phone every couple of years. None of these decisions felt irresponsible. They felt normal. But something subtle happened along the way. Every time Sam earned more money, his cost of living quietly rose with it. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. And studies from behavioral economists show that most people increase their spending almost immediately after their income rises. Not because they're careless, but because human psychology naturally adapts to new comfort levels. What used to feel like a luxury slowly becomes the new normal. In psychology, this phenomenon is known as the hedonic treadmill. Imagine running on a treadmill. You're putting in effort, moving your legs, sweating, but you're not actually moving forward. Financially, that's exactly what happens to millions of people. They work harder, earn more, but their financial position barely changes. But lifestyle inflation alone isn't the real trap. The deeper issue lies in how the modern financial system is built. Over the past 50 years, the cost of major life necessities in America has risen dramatically: housing, healthcare, education, childcare. For example, in the early 1970s, the average home price in the United States was around $25,000. Today, the median home price is over $400,000. College tuition has increased by more than 1,200% since 1980. Healthcare costs have risen more than 600% over the same period. But wages? They haven't kept up nearly as fast. According to data from the Economic Policy Institute, American worker productivity has increased dramatically since the 1970s, but real wages have grown only slightly when adjusted for inflation.
In simple terms, people are working harder in a system where the cost of living is rising faster than their earning power. So what happens? People don't necessarily spend recklessly. Instead, they slowly rely more on monthly payments, mortgage payments, car payments, financing plans, credit cards. The system quietly normalizes living in a state of constant financial obligation. And here's where the psychology becomes even more interesting. Humans tend to evaluate their financial situation based on monthly affordability, not total cost. If a car costs $45,000, that sounds expensive. But if someone says it's only $620 a month, it suddenly feels manageable. Retailers, lenders, and marketers understand this extremely well. So instead of selling products based on price, they sell them based on monthly payments. And over time, those payments stack up. Individually, each one feels reasonable. Together, they quietly consume most of a person's income. This is the silent money trap. Not overspending, not financial irresponsibility, but a life structured around payments. Sam eventually realized this one evening when he sat down and listed all his monthly obligations: mortgage, truck payment, credit cards, insurance, subscriptions, utilities. When he added everything together, something shocked him. Nearly 75% of his income was already committed before he even bought groceries. In that moment, he understood something most people never fully see. The real financial problem wasn't how much money he earned, it was how much of his future income had already been promised away. And once income is committed like that, building wealth becomes extremely difficult. Because wealth doesn't grow from income alone, it grows from margin, the gap between what you earn and what you keep. And the silent money trap slowly erodes that margin until it almost disappears. The takeaway here isn't that people like Sam are irresponsible, it's that the system quietly encourages a life built around spending future income before it even arrives. The moment someone begins structuring their life around payments instead of ownership, the treadmill starts moving. And escaping it doesn't necessarily require making more money. Often, it begins with a simple shift in thinking. Instead of asking, "What can I afford each month?" the more powerful question becomes, "How much of my future income am I giving away?" Because once you start looking at money that way, you begin to see the silent trap everywhere. And that awareness alone can completely change how you build your financial life.